getting my socks on, getting ready to go outside for the day and work in the garden. I've already put in beets, peas, radishes, cauliflower is actually going out this weekend. Broccoli, a lot of those plants that I've already got started. The greenhouse is pretty much filled up. I've been watching and seeing a lot of people question, why don't folks give the information that their grandparents gave to them freely? Well, it's kind of like being a teacher or a doctor. You know, they all make their money somewhere, and homesteaders are pretty smart and just have that ingenuity. So this is just one way that I make the extra income, and it does take me several hours to put together a class. I'm going to tell you what I put in the classes here in just one second, because tonight I'm actually headed over to the Last Run Tavern, which is just north of me here, about 15-20 miles or so. So I'm going to head up there and do the raised bed garden class, planting by the moon phases, and of course using your farmer's almanac. It spent, like I said, hours putting this kind of class together. I'm going to do this workshop again here in the next week or so, maybe even do a pop-up workshop this weekend here at the Homestead, so you guys can come and you can view the gardens and see where they're at right now. In this class, I talk a little bit. This is my raised bed garden worksheet. It's 3 pages. I also give you the companion planting chart, and I talk about planting by the moon phases, some more companion planting, farmer's almanac, rules of thumb. There's another page in here that I find fairly important. This one right here, which is ways to keep bugs away from your plants, herbs to forage in the spring, and a little tidbit on phenology. Okay, so all of that information that we talk about too. And then as far as the agenda on here, it talks a little bit about homesteading, the history of victory gardens. Okay, where on your property to choose a spot for gardening, depending on soil and light and wind. We also decide about how much your family needs, materials that you're going to need to build these beds, companion planting, how to grid your garden. I take my garden grid with me for the last 4 years. And so you can see how, if I rotate things and how things have grown in my garden in 4 years. We talk about soil, where you get it, who you can have it delivered by, what kind of soil you want, the pH balances for specifically for your vegetable gardens, tools you're going to need. Okay, when, that goes more into planting by the moon phases, above ground with the waning moon, below ground with the waxing moon. Start from seed, talk about germination, stratification, scarifying your seeds, soaking, how to sow your seeds. I talk a little bit about irrigation, again, the phenology, when to plant, like when the first dandelion blooms, that's when we start to get into planting your potatoes. When all your root vegetables are in bloom, that's when you plant all of your root vegetables. I talk about rotationals, succession planting on that topic. And that is planting several different things, or the same thing, 2 weeks in advance, or 2-week periods, so that you can harvest them at different times, and how to harvest small batches rather than harvesting a huge batch all at once and putting that all on your shoulders. I talk about trellises, walkways, again, rotations, if your soil needs attention. What kind of plants are going to put in that soil to add nitrogen and to re-enhance your soils. And then we talk about why you want to move things different times, potatoes, tomatoes, why you don't plant those together, different things like that. Then I go into starting from the pit. Can you start a peach tree from a pit? Can you start a walnut tree from a walnut? That kind of stuff. Transplanting. How to bury your plants, how far to get them into the ground when you're doing the seedlings to keep them nice and warm and hardy growers. how to thin your gardens out if you need to do so. I'm one of those chaos gardeners where I just throw a whole bunch of things in. My great-grandfather was one like that. My grandma used to tell me that he would go out to the garden and scoop up just a handful of radishes. That's how they'd pick them, because he was a scatter gardener. Okay, and last but not least, I talk about weeding and gathering your seeds. Okay, so raised bed gardens being less stressful, I think that those are great. They're easy for me to maintain. I get plenty of food for my family out of here. I have plenty to give away. So for me, that's kind of the method that I go, and I feel like that works best for my family. So anyway, that's what I got going on in the classes. I hope you guys are having a great day out there. I'm going to head to the gardens and I'll do another little video maybe of like where I'm at with what's going on in there. See you later. Make it great.